Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected Chief Guest of today's seminar, Chief Information Commissioner, Professor Dr. M.D. Ghulam Rahman, Commandant National Defense College, invited keynote speakers, valued resource personnel and academic advisors, senior officers from civil and military services, invited guests from public and private universities and research institute, members from media, faculty, course members and staffs of National Defense College, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. A warm and hearty welcome to National Defense College. Valued audience, National Defense College plays a pivotal role in educating senior officers from civil and military services of Bangladesh and also members from friendly countries. The motto of National Defense College is security through knowledge. In pursuit of knowledge, we often organize seminar, symposium, where scholars from different institutes attend and participate. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning, Armed Forces War Course Wing of National Defense College is delighted and honored to host today's seminar on a very relevant and contemporary topic, that is, media and armed forces, perception and reality, Bangladesh perspective. At the very outset, on behalf of all members of Armed Forces War Course Wing, I would like to express my gratitude to Commandant National Defense College for entrusting this responsibility to Armed Forces War Course Wing for arranging today's seminar. Distinguished guests, media and military, both are very vital and essential organ of a country. Both play a significant role in safeguarding national interest and national security. As such, media and military relations should be friendly and complementary to each other. Moreover, modern warfare necessitated congenial relationship and a continuing dialogue between media and military. Frequent academic discourse and dialogue will surely bring home the desired and meaningful media-military relation in Bangladesh. With this in mind, we have organized this seminar. Now, let me explain the conduct of the session in which today's seminar will unfold and progress. In the opening session, Commandant National Defense College will deliver his opening speech. Thereafter, in session 1, in-house speakers consist of 4 Armed Forces War Course members will deliver their keynote speech. The session will be chaired by Air Vice Marshal M. Sanaul Haq. This shall take place from 9:45 to 10:30, followed by 30 minutes of break for snacks. We shall again gather together here by 11 o'clock for the next session and listen to the keynote speaker from the 3 invited eminent panelists. First, Major General M.D. Sawar Hussain. He will be followed by prominent media personality Farzana Rashid Brownia and Brigadier General retired Shahidul Anam Khan. After the second session, we shall have an open forum for the learned audience to take part in the intellectual discourse on the subject. The learned audience will have the scope of asking questions, give their valued comment, opinion, and observations. Ladies and gentlemen, the forum will last for an hour. In the closing session, respected chief guest, Professor Dr. M.D. Ghulam Rahman, will deliver his closing remarks. This seminar will end with the handing over of memento and vote of thanks by Commandant. Thereafter, all of you are cordially invited for a lunch arranged in the 7th floor. We hope to end the program at about 14-15 hours. That was all about the program details. Now let me have the honor to invite Commandant, National Defence College, to deliver his welcome address and mark the beginning of our today's proceeding. Ladies and gentlemen, Commandant, National Defence College.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected Professor Dr. Ali Ghulam Rahman, the chief guest of today's seminar, distinguished academics, professionals, senior military and government officials, representative from the civil society, resource personnel, member of media, faculty and course members, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, good morning to you all. The subject is media and military. I have been given a script and advised by chief instructor that I should stick to this script because I am commandant. I cannot speak out of the box. So on my persistent, I have been allowed to speak at the end of the seminar, my personal opinion, perception, the realities, and I'm sure NDC will allow me, because this is the last few months of my service, I can talk, possibly basing on my philosophy, that I belong to people, not my talk. It's told by Father of the Nation. So I think the nation demands that we should talk for a beautiful Bangladesh together that we like to build with the people of this country. So ladies and gentlemen, media is a very vibrant topic. The Oxford Dictionary suggests media as a means of mass communication. It mentions about two important elements. The first is human desire to express, and the second is medium of transmission. The significance of media in war has evolved over the time, and the technological development has taken the war reporting in media to the real time. Thus, it has become far more prominent than before. That makes media more responsible to portray the credible information to the people. The history of mass communication is relatively short in the scope of world history. Books are the oldest media, and the first book known to be written in Egypt around 1400 BC. Newspapers are otherwise considered to be the oldest mass communication, which appeared as early as 100 BC. Rome, in the form of news sheets. In Rome, in the form of news sheets. However, the first regular newspaper was brought out in 1600 BC. Subsequently, the magazine had emerged much later in 1704. The electronic media has developed comparatively more quickly. The radio emerged as a mass media in 1920 and the television in 1940, followed by cable television, satellite communication in the later half in most of the country. The newest mass media is the internet, which has revolutionized communication system enormously. Over the years, each new medium has emerged to supplement and compete with each other in the most befitting manner. The subject will not be complete if I do not mention about media's role in 1971, our great war of innovation. Media was the first voice of people, actually, which spoke on 8 March 1971. 7 March Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman delivered the historic speech at Sohrawardi Udyan, which was not allowed to be broadcasted. On 8 March morning, people came out to the street, and then Pakistan government allowed these to be broadcasted from Dhaka radio station. It was relayed by other station, Chittagong, Rajshahi. So people, 75 million people came to know actually the call, the clarion call of Bangabandhu and the urge of the people to liberate this country. Later, it was on 25th March night, our father of the nation, his message came over a telegram. But that was not broadcasted immediately until evening 26th of March. 26th of March, the voice of the people of Bangladesh, the Shadin Bangla Biplobi Betar Kendra, which first raised the voice of 75 million people. Shadin Bangla Biplobi Betar Theke bolchi. The word Biplobi was then taken out on 27th March on the advice of senior politicians that people might feel that we are revolutionary people, part of the communism movement. So let it be opened. So it was renamed on 27th as Shadin Bangla Betar Kendra. Continued the voice of people until 28th and 29th morning. 27th afternoon, the soldier, the then Bengali soldier, in his voice, the father of the nation's call was again repeated, 27th. So something wrong, the book says 26th. I stand as a reference. I belong to this family who has founded, raised this Shadin Bangla Betar Kendra. The first man is from my family, second man from my family, the director is from my family. Almost half of those who founded this are from my family. So I think I can stand and say with authority, it was 27th March, Major Zia, who voiced from Shadin Bangla Betar Kendra, which was then reframed on 28th of March, again in the name of Father of the Nation, and again broadcasted in early morning. On 29th, the radio faced a lot of problems. The challenges from the Pakistani forces, and they left Kalurghat station. The first radio was broadcasting from Agrabad, Chittagong, but on security reason, they moved to Kalurghat transmission center. And from there, it continued until 29, and then moved to India, Kolkata. I shall not enter into that. Maybe at the end, if I am allowed, I shall speak. We had war correspondent during the War of Liberation. We have heard the voice Musa Sadek, Ranangan Theke bolchi. So we had a voice who spoke, who was a spokesman of the military. He was a civilian. And today we do not have. After 46 years, I think this is very unkind to say that we could not produce a single man from the armed forces or accredited somebody from outside whom we can say, I am a journalist, I am an accredited journalist of these armed forces who can speak about the armed forces, like who can give information with authority. We have nobody. And that's why the media runs after ISPR. ISPR do not give information. They seek blessings of the DGFR and the Force Services Headquarters. Media does not get the answer. The message that happens in the morning, they get next day morning. So what happens? These informations are transmitted through Facebook, YouTube, what is called, there are so many medias, online version, newspaper, internet, so many things. And correct informations are not being given to the people who are actually supposed to know and express their right basing on the media informations. But constitutions, Article 39 of Bangladesh, it suggests that people has a right to know. They have a right to express themselves. But have we been able to actually help as an armed forces to give our information correctly to the media on time, in transparent manner, but for the people to know? I think the answer I can get from you, from my side I would say no. At present, the media and armed forces relation faces number of challenges, like lack of mutual trust, inadequate knowledge about each other's profession, unknown fear of effective engagement, restrictive military policies, unawareness of operational secrecy by the media persons, etc. The correct identification of the challenges and sincere effort from both sides to address the issues would be the way forward for developing this relation. Such improvement in the relation between media and armed forces would bring synergistic effect. Today, military involvement in any conflict situation would take place of lead news. As it goes, media wants to tell the story, and the military wants to win the war. Military wants to keep the information as restricted as possible, while media wants to get the information as quickly as possible. So, it appears that there are a lot of censorship in the news, and media and people feel sick. So they actually do not take the information that is given by the media. They depend on Facebook, they depend on internet, they depend on online version, they depend on YouTube. And I don't know how far truth they are. It is just before 3 or 4 days in the Facebook, I was in a meeting. My chief had showed me a message. 4 generals died, 7 brigadier generals were killed, and there is a problem in the armed forces. All of you know, there is nothing wrong sharing this information. So that is the state of information that people are receiving, and some media are giving. Some call it a yellow journalism, some call it ignorance, some call it possibly untrained mind. I call it aspersion, attack on the strength of the country, the two strengths, the armed forces, and second is the media. And we are supposed to be together, working together for the country, but we are not doing justice. If I say we belong to people in war and peace, then media is the voice of people who are in peace every time. We are supposed to be together, two brothers, and we had been together in the battlefield in 1971, but today we are not together. There are a lot of perceptions which are conflicting. The media belongs to business house. Most of the businessmen, they own most of the electronic and print medias. The professional journalists are not getting access to the media. The black money is getting free access to the media business, and so on. So media belongs to either government or to the business house. I mean, some stakeholder. Media does not belong to the people. That is a people's perception. I am part of the people. That is my perception. It has nothing to do with my government perception or NDC perception. I can say media does not belong to people, but sometimes they try to give message to the people. Again, my contribution, my brother's contribution, my comrade's contribution in his tracks. after Liberation War. The fighting against the leftists and terrorists after the Liberation War by the armed forces. The sacrifice made by my brothers, my soldiers in hill tracks. Nobody knows this story. Nobody knows how many soldiers were killed. Nobody knows possibly how many times I had suffered malaria. How many families have lost their husband, father, and brother, and son? No one knows in this country. People knows that army has done a lot of mistakes in Chittagong tracks. People knows that one of the NGO head was not treated well in Chittagong tracks. People knows many other negative informations. They do not know my boys and my officer who died in the landslide, what benefit he gets after this. It is 30%. 30% of his total pension. But if you die as a government official or civil official, you get 100%. What is my fault? I put on uniform? That is my fault? Have you ever unearthed this story, the cry of my boys, that he dies and his family gets 30% pension and others get 100% pension? What is the fault of my major? He doesn't get a transport allowance, but a civil bureaucrat will get 50,000 per month. Have you made a point to this? That they are also our brother, government officials, they give their day and night. What have you given to these boys? The young boys, they also have their family. So there are so many points that I can possibly talk. I have been advised to talk as less as possible. I shall talk at the end. So, okay, sir. The public support is crucial to military operation. Correct media coverage of military operation can be a force multiplier. The media in the modern era is an instrument of war. This is because winning modern war is as much dependent on carrying domestic and international public opinion as it is on defeating the enemy on the battlefield. Therefore, it is very important for both the media and military to understand each other with the right perspective. That is the reason it is very much pertinent that any war studies would take media as its valued module. This media study should be embodied as an academic discipline for all comrades at arms. Similarly, the Armed Forces War Course has valued this understanding appropriately, and this arrangement of seminar is the testament, I hope. The intellectual discourse will be extremely beneficial for all of us by way of strengthening our knowledge and creating an effective relationship between media and the armed forces. Distinguished audience, I think you will all agree with me that selection of the theme of today's seminar is contemporary and very much appealing. I wish that all these speakers will do justice to the selected topics through their rich and thought-provoking deliberation. I have not talked about Cox's Bazar, Ukia, and Rohingya. I think I should talk later. How many of you know the total amount of food grain or the support or the relief material came from outside? In totality, it is not more than 420 tons. In each day, it is close to 300 ton to 320 ton food has to be fed to the Rohingya refugees. Who gives? Until now, possibly, the government Kudaun has given not a single kg. It is given by the people of Bangladesh. And it is distributed by the soldiers of Bangladesh in Ukia. You possibly do not know the NGO workers, they go to the 5-star hotel and they write reports to get $1 million from the donors. hardly it reaches to the people. It is my and your money that the Rohingyas are eating today. Nobody knows the pain of my soldier, my officer. He's spending day and night. Nobody knows what pain they are suffering. Nobody knows what was the rotten smell that I had to inhale in Rana Plaza. I am still suffering, my boys are suffering. But still, media criticized very badly after Rana Plaza incident that we did extremely bad things. And we have rescued the fake people. We have killed many of them. Many of the dead body has been possibly thrown in the water of the river. So many things done by media. Again, I must say, it was media without whose support possibly that operation would have been absolutely impossible. They were partner. When people tried to stop that operation, media said, no, it has to be done. And I salute. I have many comrades sitting here looking at me. And I know what is there in their soul. They try to say many things, but they cannot say because they put on uniform. That is the war. I like to say, I cannot talk. I belong to people, but I cannot talk about people. Who will share my talk? It is you, media. Can I trust on you? So, ladies and gentlemen, finally I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation and sincere thanks to you all, to my esteemed keynote speakers, the faculty, the staffs, all other support personnel, especially the Armed Forces Workforce Wing, for taking this initiative and organizing this beautiful seminar. The subject is very close to my heart. I like to listen and I am sure you will enjoy it. I am very much optimistic that today's seminar will surely be a landmark event for taking the media and armed forces relation to step forward. But I know it will not happen really. But still I am hoping so. Because after this again, possibly there will be a lot of restrictions for many media personnel to enter into cantonment, and there will also be a lot of restrictions for me to talk to you. So still I hope that the situation will be better. Ice will melt. The ISPR person is sitting here. I hope he doesn't mind what I am talking about. Sir, I would like to thank you very much, the honorable chief guest. You have heard my talk. However hard it is, you have to swallow it because this is NDC. We follow the Chatham House rule. And I'm sure you will not, and others, for others also, you will not disclose what we have talked. We talk for the people. So we bear it here, leave it here, and take only the positive things. No negative things should be taken outside to the political front. We are not part of the politics. I must also thank all the participants and the guests for accepting our invitation and making the seminar more effective. We are missing many of the guests that we have invited, but I hope their representatives are here. You will take my message, the message of this house, and let them know what has happened. And I will depend again on the media, especially the print media, which will remain as a document. I hope they will do justice on this. I would like to thank you very much and wish you all the very best and a very successful seminar. And I hope that you continue to hear until 13:30. And it looks time is long, but if the speakers can keep us engaged, it will be very delicious. Delicious than the lunch that we are going to offer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your invaluable speech. Now I'd like to invite the chair of our first session, Air Vice Marshal M. Sanaul Haq, to chair the session and to take over the proceedings of the seminar. I also request the speakers from the Armed Forces Workforce, Captain Zakir, Group Captain Karim, Lieutenant Colonel Anik, and Lieutenant Colonel Motashi to occupy their place on the dais.
Respected Chief Guest, respected Commandant, distinguished audience, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, the anchor person. Thank you very much. It's a big honor and pleasure for me, being a faculty member of NDC, NDB, to come and attend and chair the session of the Warri segment. I feel really honored and privileged. Thank you very much again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, because I can see the guests chasing the time schedule, I would request you to start with the presentations. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've already heard about the subject and the speakers are not going to repeat just to save time. So, please go ahead. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected Chief Information Commissioner of Bangladesh, Professor Dr. Mohammad Ghulam Rahman, Commandant National Defense College, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. Media is one of the most important and well discussed topics in today's world. With the advancement of science and technology, any event at any corner of the world comes to the media without any delay. In today's modern and civilized society, media plays a significant role in every event of life. Its role and influence have been so much that now it is considered as the fourth pillar of democracy, which raises the social morality of the public about the apparent miscarriages of justice and governance. In today's world, media and military are two indispensable guardians of a democratic polity. One defends the nation's sovereignty and integrity, while the other safeguards the interest of the citizens by informed public opinion. Today, media has become an integral part of a military success. Surprisingly, the history of media-military relationship is not very smooth. Media and military relationship has experienced several changes in several ways. Ladies and gentlemen, today, war is no longer an isolated affair left to the politicians and their generals. Media coverage may force the political government to change its military approach to keep pace with the growing public opinion. American withdrawal from Vietnam and Somalia are the examples of media compelling the political decisions. Thus, media-military relationship is very vital in military operation. In Bangladesh, during our War of Liberation in 1971, media was part of our fighting force. However, after independence, the media-military relationship in Bangladesh has changed in different perspectives, particularly with the change of the nature of government. Today, we have scope to augment the media-military relationship in Bangladesh as well. In this backdrop, the humble efforts of Armed Forces Workers Wing of National Defense College to hold this media seminar would surely strengthen the media-military relationship in Bangladesh. For our today's seminar, we have considered only the two traditional media vectors, that is the print media and electronic media. The internet-based social media platforms are kept outside of our today's purview. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all in today's media seminar. I am Group Captain Karim. This morning, I along with Captain Jackie, Lieutenant Colonel Anik, and Lieutenant Colonel Mohtasim are going to present before you on theme Media and Armed Forces, Perception and Reality, Bangladesh Perspective. The aim of our today's presentation is to highlight the perception of media-military relationship with emphasis on Bangladesh perspective. To cover the theme as a whole, we have divided the theme into 4 segments. First, I will give you an overview on media-military interface, the genesis and global trends. Subsequently, the other 3 speakers will come and talk on different segments as flashed on the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, media and military, both professions are highly structured and unique, possess a distinct code of ethics and rely on teamwork. The way a soldier owes his loyalty to superiors and the officer to his subordinates, similarly, the reporter owes his loyalty to his editor and editor to his public. In contrast of such similarities, the media and military have very unique and dissimilar cultures, and thus very complicated relationship prevails between them. Actually, media-military relationship has evolved with lot of complexity in the past and continues to be largely striding in the same path in present. The Mexican-American War saw the first professional journalist sent to cover a war and military operations. However, it was the Crimean War which was first directly covered from the battlefield with extensive details. War correspondent William Howard Russell exposed incompetence within the British High Command. He reported on British mishaps, poor execution of the campaign, and neglect towards casualties. This also created a strained relationship between media and military in UK. Media docility probably hit its zenith during World War II. Journalists voluntarily accepted censorship and accreditation rules in return for access to the battlefield. World War II is often viewed as the golden age of media-military relationship in US history, a time when the country stood fully behind the war effort and the press reflected their patriotic mood. The forced harmony rooted in media docility began to break down during the Korean War, and it simply evaporated during the Vietnam War. Dear audience, Vietnam was a hallmark in journalism history. Besides the newspaper, for the first time, television was also utilized to bring the horrors of war inside the living room. Possibly the most critical journalism that came from Vietnam were the reports that American soldiers had massacred a group of Vietnamese civilians in the hamlet of My Lai, which was also called the most shocking episode of the Vietnam War by historian Bernd Greiner. American public was heavily influenced by the candor in journalist reports about the Vietnam War. In the history of UK, the Falkland conflict has been recognized as the worst reported war since the Crimea. There were no photographs for the first 54 days of the conflict, and television was only limited to providing the reporters' commentary only. Only the British correspondents were allowed to accompany the task force, and to do so, they had to sign forms agreeing to the censorship. The foreign journalists were forced to pass to other alternatives. Media-military relationships saw a significant change during Gulf War in 1990. CNN live coverage of bombing over Iraq and live telecast of images of bright flashes all over the sky of Baghdad offered the public a new experience of watching the war directly, and this made America and its coalition to be more aware about their military actions. The concept of embedded journalism was introduced by US Department of Defense in 2003 during Iraq invasion. Embedded journalism worked as a new method of creating more intimate kind of relationship between media and military in Iraq war. Ladies and gentlemen, having talked about the genesis of media-military relationship, now I will highlight how this relationship prevails in different countries. The relationship between media and military in any country reflects the history and political ideology of the country. In particular, the relationship is based on values of transparency, freedom, collaboration, and responsibility that the country propounds for its population. For example, the US military has one of the most controversial relations with media since 19th century. However, it has gone through several stages: censorship, openness, controlled access, and cooperation. Today, the changing military goals and strategy combined with media's fluid behavior forces this relationship to evolve into the fifth stage, which is engagement. Like USA, the relationship between media and military and UK has also suffered many changes. Today, UK has a Green Book. This document is produced in consultation with the media as a general guide that the Ministry of Defense will adopt while working along with media throughout the full spectrum of military operations. If we look towards our neighboring countries, the media and military of India and Pakistan are major institutions. Their relationship plays a vital role in projecting their military ability and their ethical stand of the activities conducted by their respective armed forces. Ladies and gentlemen, in Bangladesh, a healthy media-military relationship can be found during our War of Liberation. In 1971, Media worked as a force multiplier by supporting our fighting forces. Media focused in all spheres of liberation war. Various print media published pictures and news on genocide to mobilize the world opinion in favor of our war of liberation and thus supported the freedom fighters. Similarly, the radio channel Shadhin Bangla Bedar Kendra successfully carried out its intellectual war and aired patriotic songs which inspired the freedom fighters to continue the war of liberation. All this testify that a healthy media-military relationship was prevailed during that time. Same kind of relationship also continued after independence as well. But after 1975, there was a significant change. The print and electronic media of Bangladesh lived under strict vigilance. Even military did not have any scope to interact with media remaining within any policy. And this created a strained relationship to some extent. After 1990, when the country regained her democratic flavor, the media started flourishing. But the relationship between media and military remained dormant for quite some time. With the passage of time, today, military's involvement in different nation building activities has increased, and thereby media-military engagement has also increased. This ultimately has created a conducive relationship between media and military in Bangladesh. Nonetheless, today, in the 21st century, when Bangladesh has seen a media explosion in information age, still there are scopes to enhance this relationship where both media and military need to work together. Ladies and gentlemen, cooperation, patience, and tolerance are required for an effective media-military relationship. Actually, media cannot be controlled, nor should we try to do so. Similarly, military actions might bear operational secrecy, and all may not be disclosed and may not need immediate justification. The best way to manage is to bridge the gap by giving necessary information at appropriate time, for which we need to develop expertise. That's the biggest challenge we have in Bangladesh.
Ladies and gentlemen, I shall be talking on Media and Armed Forces Association in Bangladesh. Media, military, and governance are in an interlocking system. Media-military relation has a historical ups and downs, either in British, East Pakistan, or Bangladesh period. The overall trend reflects a strategic culture of media-military relation in Bangladesh. Here, media wants to uphold the public likes to know where the armed forces screen operational information for security. A better understanding between each other role would make the environment amiable. The successful outcome of a military campaign depends a lot on having the media on the side. The armed forces and media relationship in Bangladesh had some difficult times. We need to work more closely with media for utilizing its potential as force multiplier in war. Relationship between media and Bangladesh armed forces can further progress by articulating a policy and strengthening the organization responsible for media management. The media-military relations in Bangladesh may be analyzed under 8 governing factors, such as freedom of expression, reaction by media on certain issues, delayed reaction time of ISPR, centralized command and absence of suitable representative at law echelon or on scene, overstating by media, security, status consciousness, and interactions. As per media, the freedom of expression is waived at certain issues. Some improper reactions were seen during various occasions. In present-day context, presence of military remained in media through ceremony, a monthly program like Oliban, or occasional appearance. However, on aspects like disaster management, nation-building activities, in assistance to civil administration, like election, and contribution in event role of armed forces has been substantially covered in media. I shall now discuss on present organogram of armed forces in relation to media management. The ISPR Directorate. The ISPR Directorate was established in 1972 to serve the needs of armed forces and other defense organizations in matters related to information, publicity, public and press liaison. The ISPR Directorate is one of the many attached organizations under administrative control of Ministry of Defense. The Service Intelligence Directors provide necessary assistance to ISPR for news items based on revised policy guidelines and instructions of 1991. The policy covers only list of ceremony or service-related program to be covered in media. It does not indicate any policy on one-related matters. ISPR does not have any representative at formation level. The present organization faces difficulties in performing the function entrusted on them. The function also needs review and revision matching the present day's requirement. At present, ISPR coordinates some activities with Armed Forces Division. With the extremely limited manpower and infrastructure, that they face difficulty to perform the entrusted task efficiently and effectively. Moreover, most of the personnel have limited operational knowledge and matters. There are some policies given time to time, but a complete policy covering war and peacetime activities are not in place in consonance with national media policy. The organization has less condition to operate in an operational environment in war or in peace. The chain of media coverage procedure is area headquarters forward the news to the services headquarters send it to ISPR, which comes to print or electronic media. Ladies and gentlemen, now I shall talk on present media-military relations. First, the views of general people about military. In Bangladesh, military has earned the trust and faith of common people through their patriotism dedication. Though there were some ups and downs, especially during the military regime, even after 9/11, Bangladesh Armed Forces could earn the confidence of general mass for their contribution by participating in nation-building activities. Armed Forces was also hailed for their contribution in UN peacekeeping mission and role in internal security duties and disaster management. This positive image and role was upheld by all print and electronic media also. Media has come closer with military, and military could earn the trust and faith of the media, though there are rooms to improve in both the sides. General people still believe that Bangladesh Armed Forces can perform any type of task assigned to them with the satisfaction of the people. Now I shall discuss on Armed Forces perspective about media-military relations. In the Western countries, the public and press are very well informed about the defense forces. However, in Bangladesh, it may not be such, and there is scope to improve the situation further. In Armed Forces, sometimes because of the security reason, information remains restricted. For media, sometimes we may find lack of specialized knowledge about the Armed Forces. Media leads to many positive activities in Bangladesh. At times, there is delay from media to correct the mistakes made in earlier program. This adds to the general inaccuracy of real-time reporting. In addition, there is scope of improving the understanding of the military resulting from honest mistakes. Ladies and gentlemen, now I shall talk on media personal perspective on media-military relation. Media feels that there are some communication gap between media and military. Media needs a quick response and dissemination of information. Success on selling of information depends on time and people interest on the issue. Whenever there is an accident of a fighter crash or a fire in a ship, media asks for query about the incident which military personnel hesitate to answer in some of the cases. At times, even for known cases, they seek for higher authority permission, which is a laid-down procedure in Armed Forces. This time delay is not welcomed by media personnel due to competitive nature of the system, and thereby they put the reference of the local people. Media does not believe in media control nor in management. They believe that they should not be answerable for dissemination of information, rather only for false information. In case of some crisis, there may be some communication hub at local level, as the media local reporter is the whole authority for any report. In other way, decentralization is necessary at military for media-military communication. Media is more concerned about real-time news without giving much concern about status, which military has to accept. A person disseminating information is more important than any other person reluctant to provide even the known information. At military program, interaction with the media personnel will surely improve this understanding. A military spokesman, even at local level, is necessary who will verify the information or guide the media on dissemination of information. At editorial level, whether to publish the information or not is a dilemma for media. Clarification to ISPR may need time, which is difficult to accept in this competitive world. The gap between ISPR and military formation need to be minimized because most of the time, ISPR does not know the information unless Army, Navy or Air Force inform them. So sometimes media gets the information that is necessary for military to disseminate through media, not those information that media needs.
Dear August Gathering, by now we have already had a fair understanding about the genesis and association of media and armed forces, corresponding relationship. From this, it was quite evident that this mutual relationship has remained important, but invariably a thorny issue in almost all post-World War conflicts and other disasters which involved military forces. It was also revealed that where every military force would endeavor to persistently guard the sensitive information, avoiding its premature disclosure, to even friendly press, the media would assert its maximum to extract and speedily disseminate all possible information without even realizing the consequences of these overtures on friendly forces. As such, we feel that still there is an opportunity for media and the armed forces to work closely to understand each other better. General John M. Shalixveli, the former chairman of the US Joint Chief of Staff, he said, as you can see on the screen, that, I quote, "We don't win unless CNN says we win." I unquote. This really encapsulates the reality of war in the age of information and our mutual reliance on each other. Now, talking about national security vis-a-vis the media, on the role of media, eminent media anchor like Ilana Dayan, she said, as you can see on the screen, I quote, "The role of press in democratic society is not to take national security into consideration. It is not to implement national policy. And it is not to be patriotic. It is to be aggressive. It is to be suspicious. It is to be skeptical. And it is to be hostile to the government." I unquote. Now, in quid pro quo, during discussion about the moral strength of a sector government agency, the former CIA Director William Colby, in an answer to a question, he mentioned, I quote, "Should we reject secret intelligence in order to protect our freedoms and look to a resulting moral strength to save us from the threats, or must we accept limits of our freedoms in order to preserve our community in a dangerous world?" I unquote. So from this opposing mindsets of media and the national security agencies, it is well understood and quite evident that there are misperceptions and lack of trust among these agencies. For example, during the pre- and post-insurgency era of Chittagong hill tracks, a lot of bloods were spilled in there for the maintenance of security. Ironic as it may sound, nation merely knows about the unwavering sacrifice and dedications of the armed forces members like Shahid Lieutenant Mushfiq, Lieutenant Hassan, Lance Corporal Bashar, Lance Corporal Adiyat, and so many unsung heroes who laid their lives in the line of duty for the better good of our motherland. This is where armed forces members deem that they deserve somewhat better projection to the nation where media could play a dominant role. Now, what are the areas of disagreement? First one is the difference in perception, which has been most talked about. The military is trained to keep implants secret to achieve surprise, while the media is trained to report what it come to know and perceives to be truth at any cost. Military feels that it needs to maintain secrecy of operational plans and conceal some information both from enemy and from own people. On the other hand, media wants to expose the military intents in response to public interest. Military feels that they only bear the testimony of patriotism which media tends to differ. As such, differences in perception is quite evident between these two organizations. In the part of the armed forces, media management still remains within the traditional boundary of press and television presence. It has now dawned upon the armed forces that the usage of this term needs to be curbed, as it gives an impression that media shall be and perhaps can be managed. The media, in general, strongly resents this term. At best, we feel that media can be understood, trusted, befriended, and possibly co-opted. Regarding access of media to the military activities by virtue of its role as a watchdog and the recorder of history, the media considers that it has a right to be at the battlefront and report independently. While accepting the inevitable media presence in the battlefield, the military feels that presence of large number of independently moving reporters on the battlefield is a drain on the military resources and time, and also not permitted in most military situations. The Holy Artisan crisis, the BTR killing, and perhaps the Rana Plaza crisis expose the issues of inadequacies of media and its interaction with the armed forces. Particularly, professional selection of words and phrases were missing, and as well as related skills were seen missing in part of the journalism. As far as the media education is concerned, we feel that the media awareness of the armed forces members, it still has rooms for improvement. This happens because of inadequate scopes of media education and interaction. In Bangladesh, usually officers are given limited exposure to media-related study in the staff course and higher courses like National Defense Course and Armed Forces War Course. The soldiers are mostly not exposed to media personnel. As such, the role and importance of the media can hardly be realized by them. Now, passive military response, we have already learned about ISPR, which feeds the information to the media for publication and works as the interface between the armed forces and the media. But at times, media feels that ISPR is not that responsive to provide information as expected when asked by the media. It is because of the involvement of the long military chain of command that originates from field level and reaches ISPR after scrutiny at different tiers. Many say that military tries to avoid giving information in the name of security. Most of the times it becomes a one-way traffic. Now we feel that ISPR is an organization which can play an important role. However, an assessment perhaps needs to be carried out to see how ISPR can be re-equipped to play an effective role in the new environment. Dear August gathering, so far what has been narrated to you, if we analyze, we find that the relationship between the military and the media is changing, propelled by certain momentous developments in all the major democracies of the world, and that includes Bangladesh. The scenario of change, which has evolved over a number of years, has shifted the balance towards the media, and in the process, thrown up a new series of challenges to the military. The role of the press in reporting on the military is likely to be enhanced, and the military is increasingly to be fixed by the media focus. More particularly, over recent years, it has been hastened by four major factors. Firstly, the demise of the immediate threat of total war and increasing probabilities of limited conflicts and non-traditional security threats. Secondly, the emergence of democratic institutions in Bangladesh, which has enabled the media to flourish. The technological advancement, which has empowered mass public to obtain information on military across the world. And finally, increased discourse on security and safety among the people from all walks of life that you often come across in talk show and other shows in the media. Now, media can greatly influence public opinion, which is of prime importance for both the government and the armed forces in Bangladesh. However, every media agency perhaps do not act responsibly, rather more or less pursue their corporate nature. That remains as a tricky area for the media because of the rat race for increasing the target rating point, or in short what we know as TRP. which requires sensational clippings to attract public interest and sway public opinion. For example, whenever there is a deterioration in law and order situation in Chittagong hill tracts, which involves engagement of armed forces, some of our leading newspapers mentoringly tries to tag the miscreants as Adivashi or indigenous people, which contradicts with the government policy, and also maligns the role of armed forces. Such projection completely subdue the national interest and the activities of security forces. This is, we think, potentially a trend which needs to be addressed and avoided. To conclude my part of the lecture, I would like to say that Bangladesh allows idealism and neoliberal growth of media, but there is also a need to make a balance between national security and limit of information. In Bangladesh context, the impact of media on making or influencing government policy should not be overstated. The information provided by the media does go into generating public opinion or pressure, but the power of the media, we feel, in real time, lies in highlighting situations, not solving them. Bad publicity is yet another challenge which the military has to tackle. Criticism from the media must be handled with an open mind and with a sense of equanimity. At the same time, requirement for developing a more responsive and flexible models for the media engagement by armed forces is now the need of the hour.
Ladies and gentlemen, I shall be covering media and the armed forces towards a consolidated relation. British writer Alan Hooper, who has multiple publications on media-military relation, wrote in one of his books named The Military and Media, and I quote, "The newsman and the military officer consider many of the same qualities to be important in their respective professions: initiative, responsibility, professionalism, dedication, efficiency, teamwork, delegation of authority, self-discipline, forward planning, and flexibility." Unquote. Media and military, though have different organizational culture, yet they foster similar attributes for their institutional development and sustenance. And this gives an immense hope and aspiration that military and media have potentials to work together and accomplish impossibles. With due considerations to the perception, differences of opinion, and realities of media-military relationship in the context of Bangladesh, few measures will be proposed subsequently, which may create a more consolidated relation than the existing one. But prior to the proposal, one aspect needs to be clarified. Are the military and media two conflicting groups? Do they have different agenda? Is there any conflicting interest between them? In the quest to these answers, from the preceding discussion, few optimistic facts were evident. Both military and media have quite similar goals, but they have different ways of doing their things. In military terms, we may say both the groups have objectives and the end state that is similar and protection of the national interest, but they follow different lines of operation. The most important realization about this relation is that military and media do not have any confrontation, contradiction, conflict within themselves while they are performing their roles aptly. It is also to be mentioned that in Bangladesh, the media-military relationship is surely in a workable state, but we need to have endeavors to take it further. Now let us see what are the core issues that need to be addressed for a consolidated relation. Despite having a good number of similarities and no confrontation or conflict, there are few differences between media and military. And the core reason of the differences are due to their exclusive organizational culture and unique working method. While military is conservative in its attitude, media believes in openness. Military argue that they are the best place to judge what is or is not of operational value, and secrecy of forces activity is unquestionable when they are deployed by democratically elected government. Journalists, on the other hand, argue that the common people do have a right to know the way in which military discharges its business on their behalf. Within these disputes, more meaningful and better workable relationship between media and military can be achieved through attitudinal and institutional reform by both the parties. The realistic approach is to educate each side as much as possible on the peculiarities of each other's culture. The attitudinal reform of both the stakeholders should include change in the mindset, generating mutual trust, respect, and understanding between each other. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the prime requirements of this consolidated relation is understanding each other. Let us examine that how can we achieve that. Military and media are both components of national power, and each one is responsible in its own way for protection of the national interest. Both have an equally vital role to play in the development of the nation. While military conducts different types of operation with direct confrontation with the threat forces, media participates in information operation to augment the efforts of the forces fighting on the ground. But since they have a different way of doing things, there is a need for recognizing and realizing each other's activities and responsibilities for complementing each other's efforts. The key to success in this relationship is understanding the other side and being in a position to endure few setbacks due to the process followed by the counterpart in accomplishing their responsibilities. In the approach to comprehensive, consolidated, and interdependent relation, the military need to realize few of the aspects. Firstly, the journalists are not the yes man, and they would seize the opportunity to highlight the shortcomings of the military as it is seen by them. Secondly, military is not to report the mundane affairs. Instead, the unusual events or happenings that are considered to be concern for a large number of people in the society will be reported by the media personnel as news. Media also perform the watchdog function of the society. The press tends to highlight failure more than the success. Media cannot afford to spread the disharmony of the society because in doing so, it loses its own credibility. On the contrary, and on the other side, it is expected and desired that media personnel will realize that military is a structured organization and it works through an established command and control system. Officers and men of the armed forces perform operational responsibilities following the need-to-know theory in most of the instances. An instant comment from any member of the armed forces on administrative or operational issues are unlikely and beyond the military norms. This shortcut method will also provide media with partial information which may lead towards the wrong assessment. Following prescribed procedure according to established command structure is essential to get the correct picture on operational and administrative issues. The next measure towards consolidated relation will be supporting each other. While working together for securing the national interest, both military and media need to set aside their contentious issues, understand each other's requirement, and complement each other's activities without any prejudice. Wisdom, foresightedness, and insight in understanding the overall scenario of both military and media personnel are essential to secure the national goal. While it is right for the media not to indulge in exaggeration and ensure fair, substantive, and unbiased coverage of the defense matters, the military also needs to be capable of benefiting itself from the role of the media as a force multiplier. Military need to establish the clarity of purpose to the media and uphold media as a esteemed working partner. Media, on the other hand, should uphold the armed forces as a symbol of sovereignty, patriotism, and national unity to the concerned subjects. Taking the example of Gulf War and Afghanistan campaign, it can be said that military can provide the best possible assistance to media in regards to their passage and protection in the conflict zones. Military can also be their best guide to advise the reporting contents that might not harm the operational secrecy and national interest and allow overall success against the threat forces. Dividends of embedded journalism of Iraq and Afghanistan can be followed by both military and media in case of focusing crises like the Rohingya issues. Media can take support of local formation and Bangladesh Navy to understand and present the correct pictures of the bordering areas. Organizational reform is another aspect that needs attention. Organizational reform within both military and media is essential to foster the media-military relationship. Widespread incident evaluation, opinion research, and anticipatory action capability need to act as a link between the services and the media. Widespread representatives are to act as a liaison officer without interfering in the reporting process, but they need to be aware about the news items that are likely to undermine the armed forces in the country itself. A public relation wing to augment ISPR activities may be established in each service headquarters to provide information on operational matters. Students and experts on journalism may be recruited similar to the education corps officers to serve in the public relation wings. On the other side, the editors and the media management should allow capable and selected correspondents to focus on defense and national security matters. The correspondents should not be put under pressure to create opinions and news that contradicts national interest. Correspondents with in-depth knowledge on national security matters need to be created within the media organizations. The retired military officers taking journalism as their second profession can be invaluable to the editors and the media management authorities to train and create correspondents to deal with the military matters. Proactive attitude. Taking the present time, the likely threats and the information age into consideration, both military and the armed forces need to develop a proactive approach in dealing with each other. This will allow preventing and neutralizing forces that are prejudicial and detrimental to the national interest. Military must consider how to interact and engage the national and foreign press while being deployed within and outside the country. Military also need to promote a steady state level of military media engagement. A media policy is essential to formalize the media-military relation and remove the shyness and barriers to media interactions. Senior public affairs officers should sponsor recurring conferences, bringing representatives of two sides together in order to erase negative stereotypes and develop mutual understanding. Media should also respond to the armed forces activities, being equally vibrant, and determine its own means of being proactive to maintain a healthy relationship with the armed forces. Ladies and gentlemen, to summarize this session, the flash slide can be taken into cognizance as a proposed model for the media-military relation, where the exclusive organizational structure and unique working method of military and media will always remain in the backdrop. And within this, both media and military need to foster aspects like mutual understanding, mutual support, securing the national interest, and maintaining a proactive attitude towards each other. Along with all these, the aspects that need to be eliminated are mistrust, prejudice, and differences within this group. With this, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you very much for your patience here. Thank you.
Thank you. As I said before the tea break, very, very interesting three keynote speeches are waiting. We all are going to, all are going to be engaged in a discourse of gathering and sharing knowledge. And on that, the first speaker in this second session, I invite Major General Sarwar Hussain, who is going to deliver this keynote speech first, and subsequently these will be followed by two more keynote speakers by Ms. Farzana, sitting on my left, and of course, respected Brigadier Shahid Anand. Ladies and gentlemen, our first keynote speaker, General Sarwar.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected Chief Information Commissioner, Professor Dr. Ghulam Rahman, Lieutenant General Choudhury Hassan Suhrawardy, Commandant, National Defence College, Senior Directing Staffs, Resource Persons and Academicians, particularly my guide, Dr. Syed Anwar Hussain, Civil Military Officers, Post Members from NDC and AFWC, both from Bangladesh and friendly countries. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all of you. At the very outset, I would like to thank National Defence College for inviting me to this important seminar. As the title goes, Military Media Interface, Genesis, Global Trend and Media Military Association in Bangladesh. I'm afraid if anything has been really left out for the other speakers to talk on. Quite a broad-based theme though, so I'll try to focus on these issues in this stipulated time. The media not only plays the critical role in recording, analyzing, and broadcasting the events of the day, but also monitors the functions of private and public institutions in an attempt to protect its citizens. Military being the pivotal organization dedicated to protecting and defending the Constitution, comes under keen scrutiny by the media, and therefore military needs to maintain a harmonious relationship with the media. Traditionally, there have been a lot of hiccups between these two. They seem to have a love-hate relationship. Newsmen are adored when they prepare reports highlighting military exploits in combat, and hated when they broadcast information undermining military or national security, or become overly blunt about poor combat performance. But in an increasingly connected world with redefined military roles, both media and military needs each other in a much more constructive framework than current association based on suspicion and dilemma. There are certainly other reasons for which media-military relations suffers. We need to have insight to this subject, focusing on the growth of media, global trend, including their application in various wars and conflicts, as these are the areas where both media and military has a role to play. I should also have a glance over our shared military media experience and other issues that may have impact on the relationship. At this stage, I am going to be a little bit academic. In media and journalism, although people do not look back, I will probably break that cycle. Cave dwellers painting, made thousands of years ago, used to express the life and activities of ancient people. We also know the use of papyrus plants as writing surface. It took about 3,000 years to come up with the idea of paper, which was invented in China about 100 BC. Next big change was the printing press invented by Gutenberg in 1440. When he first printed the complete edition of Bible, it was an act that enshrined him in the history. That was in a way liberating the words of God from the control of the priest. Fairly significant event. By 1500, printing presses were available in every major city in Europe, and literacy spread through Europe. In 1517, when Martin Luther published his 95 Theses highlighting abusive practices of church, he is considered as the founding event that led to the creation of division in Germany and the emergence of evangelical church. First weekly newspaper was published in the Italian city of Venice in 1556. The first regular newspaper, titled Relation, was published in 1605 in the city of Strasbourg on the France and German border. It was followed by other European cities. The first American newspaper was published in Boston in 1690, but was banned by the British after the first issue. Late 17th century to early 18th century marked the beginning of an era of enlightenment. Around this time, a group of philosophers, namely Emmanuel, Newton, Voltaire, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson, argued that publicity and openness provide the best possible protection against tyranny and the excess of arbitrary rule. Since then, the press is regarded as the fourth stage of government to provide some kind of balance in its functioning. In 1814, photograph was invented. When journalists ready for the first time displayed the photographs of American Civil War, the people were both fascinated and horrified. All this started making impact in the minds of the audience from far and near. Then came the Morse code invention in 1843. It was something capable of rapidly transmitting messages over a long distance, much faster than the speed of the horse. 1876, Bell invented the telephone that broke the distance barrier. It was no longer necessary to speak to someone remaining in the same room or being in the front. In 1920, the first radio was broadcast in the United States that marked the introduction of modern mass media. Lasting until World War II, radio was the best possible means of communication for information and news. In 1950, with the introduction of television, new era of media commenced. And now we're in the internet and satellite era, which is ever changing in its growth and dimension. Global media trends are usually the processes that bring forth significant changes in the application of new media innovations, practices, and culture while performing its role. And trends are usually replicated and followed. The widespread dissemination of printed works in the form of books, magazines, posters, flyers, and papers gave direct rise to the European Renaissance. In Germany too, there was a beginning of an era of enlightenment led by Martin Luther, who was then working as monk. Being disillusioned with the corrupt practices of the church, he left the job and joined as professor of divinity in the University of Wittenberg. He then started saying people not to listen to the church, as they have set up empire all over Europe and were reaping benefits at the expense of the majority commoners. This medieval age Europe was dominated more by mysteries and miracles. That was the time when people knew that sun is going around the earth. Galileo for the first time said that it's not the sun, rather the sun is fixed. It is the earth with other planets going around the sun. The availability of Bible to be read not only in Latin by the priests, but in the languages of the common people led to the Protestant Reformation, including everything that has led to the advancement of modern world. The Civil War proved to be an important era for newspaper and telegraph. The advent of telegraph and newspapers combined were able to produce reports from great distances very rapidly. Because of this, people in the north and south were able to remain abreast with the war updates. Although newspapers sometimes published biased accounts, but a quiet war for public support was on, both in the north and south, with newspaper playing a significant role. Issues like conscription, employment of slaves as soldiers, and the validity of total war were hotly debated on newspapers. Lincoln's telegram to the generals were the turning point in military history. This was for the first time that commander-in-chief communicated with the generals in real time. But the telegraph and newspaper, especially the way they were used by Lincoln, had tremendous effect on the outcome. During World War I, the US Congress imposed severe restriction on press. It prohibited publication of any information that could offer any assistance to the enemy. UK too banned reporters in the battlefield. By 1915, only few were allowed though, but were kept under state control. This was the trend with most countries. There used to be a lot of misreporting, like in the Battle of Somme, where in the first day of the battle, nearly 60,000 British and French soldiers were killed. But it was reported that the battle was going fine with the French and the British, because the then British Prime Minister David Lloyd George believed that if the people knew the truth, the battle would stop tomorrow. Germany, on the other hand, had a working propaganda machine from the beginning of the war. They had a Central Bureau of Propaganda in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was assigned to draw attention to naval blockade and disproving enemy propaganda. They used to generate nearly 7,400 press releases, posters, flyers, illustrations, papers, and handouts every day. In 1930s, when Hitler's Nazi party rose to the power in Germany, it was a very phenomenal event. The Nazis strongly believed in media power. Hitler used to simplify messages and played on the emotion of the German people. He ensured that every German citizen has a radio set to listen to his speech with hatred and anger against the Jews. The Minister of Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, just about a month after Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany, reiterated that it will be easier for us to carry on with the war as we can employ all the resources of the state. Radio and press are at our disposal. We shall stage a masterpiece of propaganda. Mein Kampf, meaning My Struggle, which was written by Hitler while he was in prison, became the Bible for all propaganda efforts. That's how media can make use of propaganda to persuade people. In fact, television began to make its way into American homes after World War II. Yet, by the onset of Korean War in 1950, viewership of television had not been large enough for building public perception. In 1950, the number of TV viewers were only 9% as opposed to 93% in 1968. By 1968, American viewers had already been living with the images of Vietnam War for several years. This year was a turning point, not because of the battles that were fought in the Southeast Asian country, but for the ones that were afforded homes, on the television screens, or on the front pages of the newspapers. During the War of Vietnam, reporters and photographers enjoyed complete freedom without any censorship. The reporters in Vietnam did not get any opportunity to accompany the military forces in the battlefield, observe their daily lives, and later write their reports based on experience. As such, their reports were often subjective, and the sources not only disagreed with one another on a particular issue, but also preferred to remain anonymous. This left the readers distant from the war efforts. Press simply did not feel the responsibility to present news with a certain consideration of political agenda of the government. The media also played a key role in providing momentum for the anti-war movement. That's why Vietnam War is also called the television war. The capability of a reporter equipped with ultra-lightweight camera, able to transmit live on the news network from everywhere, cannot be underestimated, and has brought the media to the dawn of what media personality Nick Going has described as the tyranny of real-time news, which significantly reduces military's ability to censor output. Millions around the globe witnessed how precision-guided missiles annihilated targets in downtown Baghdad. During the Gulf War, exploring real-time connectivity. These days, quite often, reporters will visit the military in combat zone and transmit images as they emerge. The media's dominating role was even noticeable in the Kargil War in 1999. Although media persisted before, it was during the Kargil War that news channels began to air live coverage of battlefield actions. The media greatly helped India gain sympathy and diplomatic recognition for its position. At the global level, particularly the Bush administration remained active in covering the recent war against terrorism. Immediately following the collapse of World Trade Center in September 2001, US, including Western media, persistently condemned the Muslim terrorists for the event. They succeeded in making the world believe that Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction. On that pretext, Bush administration invaded Iraq, and the rest we all know. Even in recent time, we witnessed how Turkish President Erdogan effectively foiled a military coup using social apps in his smartphone, one of the finest applications of social apps or the internet facilities. The role of media had been outstanding in our liberation war. After the independence, Bangladesh had 3 to 4 newspapers and only BTV. Before this war-ravaged country could achieve some kind of stability, we have seen 2 heads of the state were brutally killed in military coup, including father of the nation Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and his family members. Although these events took place in the formative years of Bangladesh, these are certainly black spots in our past history. We can't ignore the likely recoils they may have on effective civil-military relations. We also experienced few spells of military rule in Bangladesh when media was under very strict control. In those days, high-handedness, harsh treatment were the order of the day. And historically, we carried that inheritance until 1990s. We also saw intrusion of military into politics and its ramification in the later years. Historically, military-dominated governments were least responsive to the needs and voices of the poor people. In order to curb civilian demands, military-dominated governments relatively use more force than others. Myanmar may be a burning example in this context. With this backdrop, the media-military relation in Bangladesh did not grow very well. At least one important military engagement where media could play an enlarged role was our deployment in Chittagong Hill Trusts. For a couple of decades, Bangladesh Army is deployed in Chittagong Hill Trusts, made great sacrifices, and is still working for the peace. Media role in promoting this issue has been far from adequate, and the people at large are unaware of the developments there. For obvious security concerns, tourists and civilians are allowed with limited access, which are often misunderstood. Media houses in Dhaka depend on local reporters for gaining information, which often becomes lopsided. Despite 15th Amendment of the Constitution turning the tribal people as ethnic minorities, many media houses still turning them as indigenous without even understanding the connotation. The government view is that people in the CHT are not indigenous, since they are not the peace settlers on Bangladesh soil, as has been the case of the Aborigines in Australia, or the Maoris in New Zealand, or the Red Indians in North America. Media role in peacekeeping operation is, however, remain praiseworthy. Now, few reasons for conflicting media-military relations. The armed forces are seen by the journalists as the epitome of establishment because of the hierarchical structure, strict discipline, and their tightly approach to media. Military personnel are often guided by their own cultural norms, and they remain focused on their tasks, which are often secretive and classified in nature. The media, by contrast, are people-oriented and advocates of an open society. Media consider they have a journalistic responsibility to probe, challenge, and criticize institutions and public officials playing the role of watchdog of the government. If you remember the incident of Tolu murder case near Kumila cantonment, the media instantly reported stories in a way pointing fingers towards the military. When media could afford to make such premature assumptions, military could not handle it in the same way or for that matter so simplistically. Military has their well-defined procedure. In every chair, there is specific people or office to talk, investigate, or to do something on a particular subject. This is the basic difference between the working culture of media and military. When these two entities go to perform their roles on a common issue, they often bump on each other. This is not likely to erode so easily unless each other allow larger space, more understanding, and undertake frequent collaborative efforts. Deadline, headline, redline syndrome. Sometimes military doesn't try to understand the constraints faced by media. One such constraint, I feel, is the deadline, headline, or the red line phenomena that we experience watching television or papers. For the journalists, these are very demanding requirements, and in their search for timely, topical, and interesting stories, they are always guided by the timelines. Furthermore, since profit derives media, they tend to provide whatever sells. While accuracy and objectivity can sometimes become a secondary consideration, unfortunately, good news is rarely worthy of headlines. So the media resort to stories of scandal, incompetencies, fraud, real or imagined. If you remember, polling murder case in Manisha, or beating of tribal leaders by military personnel, or for that matter, beating of maid servant by military officer's wife, these are in any context, has no significance, but can subdue the good works military doing elsewhere in the country and outside our country. So this is something that we need to understand. Next is the human psychology. The amygdala, situated at the back of our brain, is the danger detector. It literally scans through all the sensory inputs to locate any kind of danger. This is strongly considered while preparing news diets for the newspaper readers and the TV viewers. That's why most of the news in any paper or television is negative, because that's what we pay attention to. People pay for something different, which only comes from bad news rather than good news. I'm sure you remember the Holy Artisan attack that happened on the 1st July 2016, when the Christians were encircled by the law enforcers. Few TV reporters were doing live coverage of the event. When the entire nation was glued to the television screen, some of the CEOs of very famous channels were competing with each other to bring forth probably the deadliest scenes to raise their TRPs. And from inside, after watching the, not to forget, the miscreants, they were also watching the television coverage. And from inside, after watching the law enforcers, they threw hand grenades that killed quite a few on that occasion. I was personally calling and requesting them to refrain from such senseless broadcasts, but with little effect. Corporate media and its impact on objectivity. The way radio, television, newspaper, magazine, etc. are owned, produced, and controlled by corporate houses certainly has a negative impact. To run these media houses, they mostly depend on advertising. Therefore, the media owners want their newspapers and TV programs to be viewed by the affluent people who do a lot of spending. So the news and programs are also designed and made to attract the affluent people, not the commoners. Apart from any political biasness of the owners, they might have economic interests too. This trend is increasingly growing and might conflict with or relegate the military interest with national in character. No escaping from globalization. Media organizations are very much subject to the process of globalization. Even national television and mainstream media outfits are increasingly relying on the news feeds from foreign channels. Because of advanced technological reach, a soldier working probably in the remote Chittagong Hillcrest or in the mission area might become a regional or international news headline. Are we in a position to manage these realities psychologically and technologically? Answer is probably no. Unless we de-equip ourselves with this fast-changing development, we shall lag behind in protecting our interests. Still, Inter-Service Public Relations Directorate operates with handful staff and limited expertise. Although recently several intelligence organizations set up their own media cells, and they have been doing a fairly good job by bridging the gap between the media and the military. Yet, we need an elaborate plan for a much faster network with efficient workforce to cover the entire range of military activities within the country and outside. Only then we shall be in a better position to protect our interests. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, General Sarwar, for an excellent presentation. And I can see that he has also done a good amount of research. Like a good student and learner, seeker of knowledge, as I know him from my personal experience in NDC. It's good to see that he's continuing his enlightenment. And through your speech, we are enlightened as well right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you all must have noted, that he also made a very good evolution and a trend analysis starting from the beginning to come to the modern era of media. And then also he related side by side the military part of it, coming up to the birth of Bangladesh and their own contemporary time. And there I think he very nicely identified the fault lines, compare and contrast, went very, very nice. But finally when he went into the concluding part of it, interestingly I was waiting for, but he did not very wisely, only highlighted the reasons of conflict, but did not give a solution. Okay, so probably we left it to the August audience to discuss further, or maybe there's an understanding between the speakers. I don't know which. Sure, I'm telling you, believe me. Moderator is always a neutral person. Okay, I'm not taking side of anybody. So they must have something coming in forward. So with this hope to hear something more, I would like to now invite our second keynote speaker, Ms. Farzana Brownian. Yeah, please. Thank you.
Chair of the seminar, Commandant NDC, Chair of the session, distinguished officers, keynote speakers, faculty, NDC course members, fellow media personnel, eminent media journalists of the country, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. Trust me, I do not have anything left to talk about. It's a session for me to learn a lot. And of course, I'm the most beneficiary one. I'm taking a lot of information, knowledge from here to daily. Whenever I come to NDC, I learn a lot. And of course, I'm grateful to my favorite, my loving NDC, because I'm a capstone student here. And that was one of my best experiences in my whole life. So once again, I'm grateful to NDC for inviting me to speak on such a topic when I was born and raised in a military family and spent my nearly whole life working for media. So I hope I will not go for some research kind of thing. Let me try to talk with my own experience and with my limited knowledge, limited experience. I will try to address such an august gathering. So please forgive me if I do something wrong with me. Thank you so much. My previous speaker has rightly pointed the whole evolution of media and at the same time the conflicts and everything. And I was learning a lot. Thank you so much, General Sarwar. It was a learning process for me at the same time. But again, I must thank him that he mentioned a few things which I did not dare to, kind of Tonu, polyartisan, and many more things, where he tried to put a light on kind of the role of media. And I completely agree with him, but as Mr. Chair said that maybe he didn't come up with a solution, I will utter only one thing, and that is, if you can see that there is 28 channels, television channels, and uncounted papers, newspapers in this country. Now, being a media activist, my question is, who has given the permission? And if you give a permission to a fish seller brother, my fish seller brother, or my rickshaw puller brother, or my bus driver brother, he is expert on that. But if you give the media to him, I'm sure he will not understand. So being a boss, business person who runs the transport, suddenly he gets a television or he gets a media, what will happen? So this will be the consequence. So maybe that is where we need to also put some light on it. Ladies and gentlemen, so far we came to one point and we agreed, all of us, we agreed that armed forces of state is an element of national power which is responsible for its security and protecting sovereignty. Since Second World War, the media has established itself as an element of national power, while the executive, judiciary, and legislative are important organs of the state. Mark Twain rightly opined that two things on this earth can go to every single corner of the earth and put some light. And one thing is sun in heaven, and the other one is associate media down here in the earth. My previous speaker also talked about Hitler. I remember when I was very young, I used to read Napoleon, Hitler. Probably my father was an army officer, probably that was the reason. But I remember one word by Hitler that he said, I'm not afraid if 100 men are there with gun, but I'm afraid if one man is there with a camera. So here we can understand a man like Hitler, he's also considering the media. And of course, my previous speaker has mentioned that how he used the media to get to the destination. So now we agree that media and military are two powers which can influence national strength and integrity. But their characteristics are different and quite opposite. And now it is the voice of people, the media. And now whether these two powers can stand together, work together, or be together, that is the challenge, and that is the matter of discussion. Here you can see one film, Gallipoli. Last night I was watching this, and I understood a lot of things from Gallipoli. There was a general who was running the field, the war field, and he said that to the journalist that you have to take my command. And the journalist say, I mean, whatever he will be giving, he has to publish it. And the journalist is saying that, well, what's the benefit? Nobody reads me now. Nobody reads me now. That means he is no more a famous writer. He's no more a famous journalist. He has loosened his basic celebritism or popularity. So here we have to understand which is the common area of a military person and a journalist where we can overlap. The challenge is, in one hand, the conservative policies of armed forces, that they want to not to show anything and everything, and they want to hide. That the light of the media likes to emit to billions of people to the world. On one hand, the transparent and true openness of media may draw a country in danger by disclosing the precious secret of military plan. This is where the balance that we like to draw. The behavior of media is quite open, and everyone knows that. Media bears the blame of both positivity and negativity. And my previous speaker also mentioned about Iraq war. The Iraq war is still fresh in our mind. The country was almost destroyed by the force led by USA on blame of possessing weapon of mass destruction, WMD. It was media who were loud in accusing President Saddam and Iraq for having WMD. Later, media confessed that total information was bluffed by Bush administration. The British Prime Minister also apologized for taking part in the operation in the coalition forces. But the destruction of the state, the cost of millions of lives, the violation of women, the crime against children was a serious ramification. Now, being a part of or being one of the peace-loving people of the world, do I have a right to ask to the media, will you accept the burden of this massacre or not? And now if the answer is no, what will happen? The military has a reasonable option not to take media in full confidence. They have an alternative option to pursue directed media policy. There are also a good number of positive contribution of media, of course, and there is a lot of positive contribution of media, especially if you talk about the let's talk about CNN 24/7, which had been televising the severe attack of the militant of Somalia in 1990. Following this, due to people's pressure, President Bill Clinton had to withdraw the US forces from Somalia. This indicates media has a role in reshaping the foreign policy of a nation. American invasion in Afghanistan to fight the Taliban militants, and following which spread of terrorism in the world has been known to the people through media. The US policy of war against terror has been revised by Obama administration, and he started to cut down the size of armed forces. This was basically done to reduce US involvement in conflict and pursue more of soft power. If you talk about President Trump, he has maintained his policy close to Obama administration, but media still remain committed to reduction of forces. Ladies and gentlemen, historical legacy of media in Bangladesh. Our constitution has given us, the people, right to express freely by Article 39. It is a free and transparent media that stands as a platform for our citizens to exercise their right. On the other hand, our armed forces are pledge-bound to protect the Constitution and our sovereignty. Therefore, these two elements of national power are equally important to our people. The clarion call of our great war liberation and its strategic concept was given on 7th March 1971 by our great leader, father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. This was broadcasted by the radio, that is again a media, on 8th March 1971 and published by all national dailies. Later the final declaration was given on night, 25th March 1971 by our father of the nation. This call was then spread throughout the country by a Bengali soldier over Shadhin Bangla Betar on 27th March 1971. The source of power this is our 75 million people were mobilized by military and media together. People from all walks of life came forward and organized our freedom movement along with armed forces against the most organized occupation army of Pakistan. Since then, media established itself as a source of national power. Therefore, the birth of our armed forces and media took place in the battlefield. However, both use the authority of people. Both stands for protecting our sovereignty. Media is thus recognized as people's voice, while military is recognized as a symbol of national integrity and trust. There is a change in recent trends in media, and you all know that. In the recent past, media has undergone a revolutionary change, introduction of mobile phone, internet connection, Facebook, YouTube, etc. It has made this dissemination of information very faster, but yet it's unreliable. The lack of motivation and commitment to this noble profession is shown to the yellow journalists. Most of the countries are facing this menace. In Bangladesh, media is mostly owned by corporate and businessmen. Entry of highly professional group are fading away. This is because authority of people's voice has been encroached by easy access of black money and neo-journalism. We need to revisit this challenge. Our media had a bright history. So now what will be the balancing factors? It is now a subject of concern as to what extent military will reform its media policy to reach to the people at the most earliest and transparent manner. Presence of both media and military in crisis emits trust and confidence to our people. The usual delay occurs due to decision-making process of ISPR causes misinterpretation and misunderstanding in the mind of media and people. The receiver wants quick dissemination of information. In absence of such reliable source of media, people tend to depend on Facebook, online news, YouTube, etc., causing great damage to our national security. The Commandant, in his opening speech, he has mentioned that recently we came to know from Facebook that for generals are dead and some sort of mispropaganda. So now my question is, on behalf of media, still today we did not get an answer or nobody noticed it. So from where I can get an answer? Even you can get a Saptahik weekly magazine in your hand soon, because this seminar paper is printed there in Bengali. And also the Daily Observer, that's in English for foreign fellow seminar members. You will be getting that. So my question is, when I was writing this article and giving it to Saptahik, the editor asked me, did you get an ISPR certificate? I said, okay, ISPR certificate. I'm writing on something I must have the access to write, and I'm not writing something very controversial, so I must not have ISPR. Even I talked to some of my colleagues to come here to join the seminar. They said, oh, cantonment, so do you have a paper? I mean, I need a paper or permission from ISPR to get into the cantonment. So maybe we can revisit this, what we can do with this. I feel ISPR may revisit its policy for greater national interest. Media is aware of the security concern of armed forces to protect the vital information which may affect the operational aim because of the premature disclosure. And there, the media has a big role to play. The journalist must have a self-editing concern, understanding that not only the truth. I know something and I disclose it to the nation then and then. And do I need to revisit about the impact of that information? If I give it to the nation, what will happen? How it will be interpreted? Mr. Shahid Shiraj is running Channel I News, and one day I was very eagerly talking to him. Why don't you put it on the news? All the channels are giving. I can see the scroll. They are giving the news. Why aren't we? Then he said, excuse me, Ms. Farzana Bramia, I have never said sorry in my whole life for putting some wrong news or false news on television, and to ensure that you must have a self-editing concern. So I believe that our other channels also must have editor like him, not to say sorry after putting some false news, rather you rectify or clarify whether the news is right or wrong. It seems there needs a more close coordination, cooperation, and understanding of each other's perception. This needs a special training and development experience over the period, like capstone course. Before coming here with capstone course, I hardly had any idea about military operations and all of you. And now I have an absolutely different perception. So I here thank our Honorable Prime Minister to come up with such an idea to have the capstone course, to bring the people from different places and bring it together for a betterment of the country. Armed forces and media, we are talking about this. I'm aware and respectful to the contribution the armed forces have made over the period in Chittagong Hill Tracts, sacrificing their life, blood, and youth. My previous speaker also mentioned about Chittagong Hill Tracts. Trust me, before going there with capstone course, I did not know what's going on there. And after hearing a lot of stories from my brothers who are the soldiers sitting here, who were with me in the course, I was just wondering, what are we doing? What the media is doing? Why you were not making some films on it? I can see India making films on the soldier brothers, but where are we? But again, I will utter the same word, ISPR, because one film was there our commander is sitting here, the hero of Rana Plaza rescue. So, of course, thank you, sir, for standing on that day on behalf of people. And a film was made on that, but that film was not censored. So I don't know how to solve this problem, but we are here together. We are talking on the seminar, so of course there will be a way out. I'm proud of its contribution made to uphold the red and green flag in foreign soil as part of peacekeeping force. Suddenly on a plane, I got a newspaper that was English, and I don't remember the brand of that plane, but I was reading a Bangladeshi woman leading a very big UN force, and she is the CEO of that force. I was wondering, Bangladeshi lady, and we did not know, I have to learn it from other national newspapers? So I was very upset. I came back and I talked to my colleague, but they said, hold on, it's army, don't mess up with them. You will be caught. Okay, all right. So again, we need to revisit this. Trust me, I honestly salute the officer and their men who sacrificed their day and night comfort in Cox's Bazar and Ukya in taking care of Rohingya refugees. Recently I went there, I was amazed because before I went there, I saw the whole road, 7 miles, it was just the people were spreading out. And there were no food, no clothes, they don't know where to go. It's our soldier brothers, it's our army, it's our armed forces who made the road cutting the hill and suddenly made the 9 camps. And now you go, it's organized. Every single day they have a camp, they're packing the things, the foods, they're giving it to the people. I was wondering that whether there is any kind of giving the foods, any mismatch. They have made a wonderful social structure. You have to give the paper, they have a list. So it's wonderful, it's magic. So why not we call the Bangladesh Army Aladdin Ashturja Pradeep. Wherever there is a problem, if we see army there, we say the problem will be solved. And that is the perception of the people in Bangladesh. So, again, when the Rohingya refugees were there, suddenly the channels, the media went there. So people say, now something will happen, because the media is there. And if you talk about the Rana Plaza, it's the same. Because the media was there, the soldiers were there, and they worked for the humanity and the people. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel either military is not much aware of the strength of media, or media is failing to highlight our great son of soil. To make a balance between these two is really a challenge, and we shall, inshallah, overcome that challenge. What about a media policy? Let's talk about the media policy. As you can see on the screen, there is a circle. I just draw it out on my own to understand that what's wrong and to whom we are working for, how we can make a media policy under national security policy. My understanding of this challenge suggests that we need an effective media policy. A media policy essentially needs its mother document, national security policy. We have none of them in written or circulated form. Maybe it is still in the mind of our political masters. It may be relevant here to say it is not a challenge to make a policy, but it is definitely a big challenge to know which is the best policy. That was the opinion of Thomas Jefferson. My thoughtful mind suggests me to have a one-stop integrated information service center. We can call it IISC for Armed Forces. The spokesman, you can see in the center SP, the spokesman has to be an officer, military officer, who will be having knowledge on media at the same time. And you can see the second circle, there's 3 points up there. It has to be immediate. The immediate one is red. Rest 2 is there. And it has to be transparent, it has to be dependable, accountable, and it has to be immediate. And that will go to the media. And media will be throwing it to the people. Now, I was asked by one of my colleagues, why army has to come here? They should be there far from here. And they should be preparing themselves for war. I said, okay, fine. What are they for? They are from people, they are of people, they are by people. So why they will be staying away? So we had a long debate. So that is also perception. Army should not come in front. And there is also perception. Army should be there in the need of people. So there is two perception. Standing in between, I must say that in the later, I will be uttering a few words from our father of the nation for my way of thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, as you see, can this model, this is not necessary that this model has to be implemented. The ISPR may have a changed perception, changed model, or I can say extended. And also this new model also can work for the betterment of this two relationship. A recent experience of Sabha Rana Plaza tragedy rescue operation had used close to the similar model under the directive of our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in April 2013. And the rescue was, and humanitarian operation was commanded by Army, 9th Division Infantry, under Lieutenant General Dr. Chaudhry Hassan Sarwadi, B. Bikram, SBP, DSP, NDC, PSC, and now he's working as your commandant. So thank you, sir, once again, and let us give a big hand for you. Thanks. And media were there beside Army, and we made it a success. The whole nation, irrespective of party affiliation, came together to help this humanitarian operation. Every state has an army, but very few armies were born in the battlefield of liberation war. Our armed forces is our pride. In the same soil, the armed forces of Pakistan was known as Occupation Rogue Army, while our armed forces members are our brothers and sisters. Our father of the nation said, "Dear armed forces members, you belong to people. People belong to you. You are not a separate entity. You are not their lord, rather servant. They give tax to run your family. Remain beside them in their need. We can feel it when we see you, when we see our armed forces, brothers, in peace and war, in disaster management and development. Their footsteps is marked everywhere, even while making a Guinness World Record for Bangladesh by making the largest man-made flag or Lakho Konte Shonar Bangla. Well, I have expectation, being a part of Jonagon, people, the victory of our peasants, whenever there is a small winning story, that belongs to me. The victory of our peasant belongs to us. The story of Shorna Kishori, a very young adolescent girl who succeeds, who breaks all the barriers of the society, that belongs to us. And of course, sacrifice of our soldiers are all embedded together, and that belongs to us. A red and green Bangladesh, homogeneous people, the Bengali. We speak the same language. We live for each other. We die for each other. Thus, I will request all of us to uphold our all success stories through media to the world. We want 170 million people of the country to know about this and be proud of it, and at the same time, 7 billion around the globe. For that, we are indeed of an effective media-military relation and effective media policy. And to express this two relationship, I welcome you with the last slide. As you can see, the very prominent media personality, Farida Reza Shagor, and from Army, the pride of Army, General Sarwardi. So both are shaking hands together. And here I can quote the Tagore, who said this poem long back. May I recite this poem in Bengali, and whoever do not understand Bengali, for you it's written there in English. Military আর হচ্ছে media. আমরা দুজনে দুই কাননের পাখি, একটি বৃন্ত, একটি শাখার সাক্ষী। আমাদের মাঝে মিল নাই, তাই বাঁধিলাম রাখি। Let us work together for a beautiful golden Bangladesh. Thank you so much.
very much, Swazana, for your excellent presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a secret to crack at this moment, and that manifests the power of media. We are only doing the seminar, right? But see, the keynote speech by Mr. Swazana is already out in the media. That's the power of media, okay? For my friends from AWC, sorry, wait for a year, okay? Anyway, sir, we go on to the most important keynote speech now, and that's by our most distinguished keynote speaker, Brigadier Shahidul Alam Khan, my very respected, beloved teacher. Sir, please honor us with presentation, sir.
Chief guest, participants, esteemed invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I know it is after 12:30, and I was telling to the NDC students the other day, a retired infantryman goes off, switches off by 12 o'clock. It's 12:30. So I don't know whether it is my job to keep you awake or your job to keep me awake. With our mutual understanding, with mutual cooperation, whether or not we can make some real sense of what we are supposed to be doing. Being the last speaker is also a difficult job because all that you wanted to say has been said. And for a man who would like to reduce his work, I was suggesting to my host, by the way, it was an extremely good presentation in the morning by the AWC officers. Delectable, crisp and to the point. And I see some of the things that I had meant to say have already been said. So I had suggested that can't I skip, or can't we skip my presentation? And I was told in no uncertain terms, no, there is no free lunch. So then I was reminded of what my principal said to me once in the college that I went to. He said, Shahid, if you are asked to speak, stand up, speak up, and shut up. It is not the time to shut up, but I'll make some sense of what I prepared. But I'm not speaking from a script, but from some notes that I have done. Now, gentlemen, it's acknowledged from presidents to prime ministers to primates to the gentry and the common man and of course the generals, that media has assumed a very powerful status, a very powerful role in today's world, and for reasons that I will perhaps dilate on subsequently. But one has to read the accounts, and it came out eminently in the presentations previously, of the wars that were fought, which were done and undone by the media. And the role of the media. Vietnam was not lost in the battlefield of the country, of Vietnam. It was lost on the soil of America. Public perception did not support a war. So therefore, the media's power, and I know some people are averse to the word power because it denotes a very aggressive character, let us say influence. But I, being an ex-military man, I'm always used to the word power, but be that as it may. So the power or the influence of the media has become pervasive indeed for the military not to acknowledge the reality. More so because of the fact that the distinction between the peace time and wartime has been blurred. And that is because the definition of war or conflict, and we always conflate the two words, war and conflict, they're not the same. The definition of conflict has changed, and conflict is a constant in our life. And it is not necessarily referring to the military conflict, but conflict or situation that aggress on the entirety of a nation. So that has enhanced the role of the media all the more. And as I was telling the other day, the role of the media, or the media itself, has become a part of the planning matrix of the military commanders. If you don't take media into account, it's well nigh impossible to fulfill the triad of security of men, of people, the media, of the state, people, and the media, as they call it, the Clausewitzian triad, or the Clausewitzian triangle. So, with those preface remarks, let me go on to the more substantive. That the media reflects, or the media-media relations is reflective or symptomatic of the civil-military relations. It falls within the rubric of civil-military relations. Therefore, when we talk of media relations, you are in fact talking about civil-military relations. So therefore, many things that are referred to will indirectly also be applicable to military-media relations, or to civil-military relations. Now, it came out eminently that the media has evolved over time. The relationship has evolved. But that evolution has been shaped, has been influenced, has been modulated by history and experience. Sarwar touched on it briefly though. But these are caused by certain factors, we call causative factors, that are country specific and germane to a particular country. So therefore, those that have influenced our experience, or those that influence the relationship between the media and the military, were unique to the developments of this country. And this development predates 71, it predates 47, it goes back to the days of the British rule, where the military was seen as a coercive arm of a colonial power. The mindset about the media, about the military, was then carried over post-47 and post-71. So much of what the ailments that we were talking about, misperception, misunderstanding, living in an airtight compartment, are perhaps consequences of our experience, of our distrust, that stems from our association and perhaps, as I say in a very blunt way, the mistrust of the Khaki. Now, media-military relationship is also a function of attitude. It is how the military sees the civilian and how the civilian perceives the military. This attitude, as I said, develops, grows is shaped, is influenced. Now, I'll show you a slide, the next slide, and it gives in a very rueful manner the truth. There can be two professions more ready to misunderstand each other than journalists and soldiers. We are ready to misunderstand, not to understand. This is the statement of a military officer who had done a lot of research into this particular phenomenon. Now you might think that the military media relation is something that is unique to this country. No, it is not. It is a universal phenomenon. It is a universal issue. The strains are similar. The strains are similar. The causes are different. As I said, the causes germinate from the ambience that we are existing in. So that is perhaps something that you must take note of. So when you are talking about media-media relations, or perhaps certain medicines to cure the ailments, it may not be an appropriate way of doing it, because experiences of other countries may not, or the antidote of other countries may not apply to ours. Now this mindset is instigated by two things. Again, give as little and keep as little. Everything towards the media wants everything to be told. We, the military, want as little as possible. And that creates the tension. And as I was saying, the history of tension is not new. And for example, it was referred to the Crimean War, where William Howard Russell, he exposed the gross incompetence of the British Army. In fact, this particular reporting, or the entire series of reports, caused the downfall of the government of the time. It compelled the British Army to set up the staff college at Camberley, and some of you may have been students there. The whole medical service was reformed because of this one gentleman called Howard Russell. Now he said this: an unfettered journalist is a burden to the military. In the field, anathema to a government at home, but essential to a free society. And I think those who like to see democracy flourish, those who like to see the correct interface between the two very important institutions of the army, would do well to not only acknowledge this, but to all to see that this particular philosophy is maintained. Now, we'll talk about perception also, because one of the tasks of my task was to talk about perceptions. But let me start by saying that, as the title of the presentation says, it's not conflict. The state is not of conflict, but perhaps misunderstanding or tension compelled by misunderstanding. So let us go and see one of a perception. It's a perception of a general. We're talking about the American Civil War. I hate newspapermen. They come into camp and pick up the camp rumors and treat them as facts. I regard them as spies, which in truth they are. If I kill them all, there will be hell to pay for at breakfast. So this was the attitude of the American general. he was thought a spy. Now, here is the civilian perception of the military, of the media. Today, the media dictatorship is becoming a substitute to military dictatorship. So he thinks, Clover thinks media is dictatorial. Because what he says, they decide, because they decide priority of news. They decide who will speak in which talk show. They will decide which sort of article will go, which sort of article will not go. So this is the dictatorship of the media. Perhaps in certain cases it may be true, but hope to God it is not entirely true. Now, another perception of the media is by an American general. Now, he was asked, what is the biggest headache in war? And he said, the bloody media is the biggest headache in war, not the enemy. The biggest headache in war is not the enemy. And then he said, what if the CNN was there in 1944 at Omaha Beach? What would have happened? There would have been no D+2 day. The war would have ended then and there. Everybody would have run with their hands up and pants down. And that would have been the end of the Second World War. And perhaps we'll be speaking German instead of English. So that is what the military thinks about the media. Now, the next slide, I will show you some adjectives describing the state of relationship. Nothing very flattering, awesome. Awesome, I said, not awful, awesome, but deserves cogitation. Look at Pablo. It's adversarial. Now, tones, raft of literature exists on media-military relationship. And I have culled these definitions or descriptions from various books and articles that I have managed to. Not that I know very much, but you will see, and these are all in alphabetical order. It's adversarial, it's abstruse, it's arcane, it's bad, complicated, contemptuous, dysfunctional. Insalubrious, sour, rocky, strained, tense, uneasy. Uneasy perhaps is the most overt description of this. But this is what is actually the perception of the relationship. What is missing here? There is nothing appropriate here, but what is missing here is none of this of articles describe the relationship as good or healthy. None of the literature that I have gone through, but I still may have. The কোনখানে বলছে না যে আমাদের সম্পর্ক ভালো, আমাদের দেশের মিডিয়া সম্পর্ক ভালো। Now here again I will show you a slide, the next slide, and this is an opinion poll, and this is very interesting. How often does the military maintain secrecy because they do not trust the news media to report fairly? See the percentage, 75%. And they fear that the potential enemies may learn information that may damage security. You see for yourself the perception of trust, the lack of trust. But here is an awareness. There is an awareness that the next slide will show that media, more than anybody else, is aware of the fact that they were knowledgeable about the military. In fact, 70% of the news media says we don't know about the military. They are being very candid, but it's not necessarily fault of the media if they do not know about the military, because if you choose to keep them at arm's length, how will they know about me? So if I make myself a holy cow, and if there is a patina of holiness around me, who can approach you? So I think this mindset, the knowledge, is again a function of the relationship. Let's come on to the realities. This reality must all acknowledge, and let's come out again, that both national institutions to attain national aim, I will not dwell on it further. Now, we tend to think, militarymen, we tend to think that it is our exclusive remit to guard the protector of the Constitution, Kara, the military. No, my dear. The media is equally competent and is equally entrusted. And because of the role it plays, it arrogates itself to be the right to be called a protector of the Constitution. We military take official oath. We have not taken oath as journalists. I say we both as a militaryman, as a journalist, because I have decided in both sides of the fence, 35 years in one and now 14 years in another. I know where the shoe pinches. And I'm being very frank and objective, I hope. So it is not the militarism only. We protect the Constitution because every day of the year, every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year, because we subject the government to public scrutiny. We bring out deficiencies, we bring out folly, we bring out policy errors. And that is protecting the integrity and sovereignty of the state. And that is protecting the flag of the country. We do it every day. The media, we do not take oath to do it. Let's go on to the power of the media. It's been eminently discussed. Vietnam War, Syrian War, Spanish Civil War. In fact, they said the media can cause war. And Spanish Civil War is one example. Or if you know Hearst, he told one of his artists, you give me picture, I'll give you war. And that's one of the consequences of in fact, and I'll come to that later on, the American Civil War and the impact of telegraph and Morse on that. But let's go on to this. The power of the media, or influence of the media, has caused the media to increase or enlarge its footprints. So you have the news, you have the newspaper, you have the electronic, and you have the IT, the social media. And that has not been dwelled upon, but I will sort of dwell upon it for a while. I think that's very important. The social media has a chessboard. It has spread information, and information has been democratized, spread. Everybody can spread information. There's a democracy, freedom. And there's no concept of time and space. You transcend time and space. It's transcendental. Expanded the means of war. This is the social media. Just as telegraph. And when telegraph was I was reading his place, when was telegraph? It's in 1846. Telegraph was, the Morse code was invented. And when that was invented, this fellow Morse was sent a congratulatory letter by his brother as he had done a good job. In the next few years, the whole world will come under one net. It will be under the network of the Morse telegraph. And everything will be controlled. All the fingers will be controlling the world and bring it closer together. Hopefully for peace. Because we'll come to know what is happening 5,000 miles away. We'll know their problems. Perhaps we'll be able to address their problems and make the causes of conflict recede. But it had a different effect altogether. Because in 1858, when the first transatlantic cable was laid, and President Buchanan was, he sent a very congratulatory and hopeful note to Queen Victoria, I think if my history is not wrong, hoping that this transatlantic line would usher a new era of peace. He said perpetual peace. Few days after that, Queen Victoria sent war orders to his troops to attack Gallipoli through means of telegraph. So everything has two sides. Everything is double-edged. And so is the social media.
For allowing me to come here once again. But my staff did not do justice. He took away my pen and paper. Knowing that I may note something and take more time, but I promise I shall not take more than 4 minutes. Is that okay? 4 minutes. The chair and the learned speakers, distinguished audience, my dear course members, and members from the media, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. One thing I think is precious in human life is freedom. And by the time we rise, we start expecting that I should be given freedom. Even a baby, the moment after he learns how to walk, he tries not to be caught by somebody and runs recklessly without brake. So mother runs after that, the son might fall in fire or in the water. So like that, everybody wants freedom. I, as a military man also, I want freedom. I like to talk. I like to say what is there in my mind. The first thing, very unfortunately, in the army I was taught is talk less. So I started talking less. The next thing that reminds me is I went for intelligence course where everybody was asked to write a poster. So some of my course mates wrote, be aware of media, there might be HIS. So media, you understand, somebody may not all be aware about HIS, is the Hostile Intelligence Service. That means there may be some element of HIS inside the media, so I became very careful. So I should not be talking to media, okay. And that reminds me something. I entered Dhaka city sometime in 1969 early to get an admission in a good school. And I entered my uncle's house. He was a bureaucrat, civil bureaucrat. It was written, be aware of dogs outside. But I entered that house, I saw no dogs inside. And so carefully they wrote the poster, but really there was nothing. It is to scare people that there is something inside. So maybe army has taken a shelter under the banner that be aware of media. So you are secure. So you see the dimension of security, how it is explained that security concern from the media. So however, since I talked about media, that I knew what was the media from my early age. I knew their role to some extent. I knew how they can contribute to a country. This country was liberated, and there were two fronts that was fought by the people. One was the great hero of the soil, the freedom fighters. The others are the media heroes who fought in the other front. And how important it was, you heard my ex-commandant, the learned commandant from whom I always wait to hear something new. And you heard from the horse's mouth, the freedom fighter, the great freedom, so salutes. And that is where is the crux. These two elements, in Bangladesh at least, was born in the battlefield. The armed forces of Bangladesh and the media of Bangladesh, because both possibly got birth on 26th of March with the voice of media, Shadin Bangla Betar Kebu, and also the army taking part in totality in the liberation war. Also people had come to know on 26th. See what a unity. And two brothers was born together But now you are saying so much of difference, we are not liking each other, you are not doing well for me, with me, you are writing against me and all this. But I would say there are so many things common, so much. We both stand to protect our sovereignty in two fronts. And you heard the learned speaker, Brigadier General Shahidul Anam. They are also protecting the constitution, the sovereignty of this country. We are not the protector, because the father of the nation had said, it is my people who will protect the sovereignty of this country. So what is an army? Army is supposed to take the people in trust and fight together like 1971 revolution. We are supposed to lead or join the people to protect the sovereignty once again when it is needed. And what is the role of media? Is to organize these people, the army and the people together. And this bridging will be done by the media so far I could possibly understand from your talk. And how this bridging will be done is through understanding, building trust, confidence in these two teams. It is a team, I say, because the planning metrics, the General Shahidul Anam has said, when you make the planning metrics, the media and military works together. Be it a military plan, be it a plan at a strategic level, both actually contributes together. So the training together is also needed. That has been told by many of the learned speakers, and also has been highlighted by the Vice Marshal Sanam, the moderator, and accredited journalism, embedded journalism. I heard this since long, but I don't see a light that either army or university or press council or someone is taking initiative. I'm sure we forget tomorrow the lessons that we are taking from here, and nobody will work on this. But I still request the concerned authority to look on the matter, and Bangladesh University of Professionals can take a lead role. I'm sure the professor is here from the Bangladesh University of Professionals. Nobody is here, only the lady is there, lecturer. Okay. So that way, possibly somebody can take a lead role, and some diploma course can be introduced. How to actually do the military journalism, how to do work role of work correspondent, how to do or publish news on military in peace. So that may help possibly Bangladesh, and that may possibly develop our trust and confidence. I would like to thank sincerely on my personal behalf, on behalf of National Defence College, the chief guest. Sir, thank you very much for coming here and gracing this occasion. I would like to thank the learned keynote speaker for sparing their valuable time for the paper they have presented. Very outstanding one. We have learned so much today, possibly we would have missed the opportunity if we had not organized and arranged this session and invited you. Thank you, sir, and looking forward that we will come here again and again whenever we need your support. I would like to thank the AFWC course members. Their effort is always very close to my heart. I spend most of the time with them, so NDC course members sometimes feels jealous at what has gone wrong. Commandant gives more time to AFWC because they will be our future leader. And you will be strategic level leader. And I'm sure you will not last very long, another 2-3 years. But they will stay in this army for a long time. So I like to invest my time with them, and I think that is very justified. So they have paper they have presented, very well done, very, very well done. And the directing staffs who have guided them, I would like to thank you again. I would like to thank the moderator. So I think professionally he has moderated and he had been conducting this session. In fact, he is a specialist. Otherwise, you understand, the SDS from NDC would not have been called here to moderate, and somebody else would have done it possibly. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So finally, I would like to thank those who have taken part in this discussion, especially our learned commandants, our senior officers, also learned professors, all of them, some of them are my teachers, some were my seniors, some of my instructor. And although Brigadier General Sakwa has said, you look very young, maybe he did not mention the age. I said, sir, I'm close to 60. He said, but you still look like a captain. So thank you, sir. But I understand their age. Brigadier General Sakwa, when he stands, he talks like, the age of the major. And he is still very young when he talks. Yeah. But maybe he has gray hair, but his heart is still like a major. Sir, thank you, sir. May God bless you, sir. So with this, I would like to request the chief guest. Sir, please kindly give your last comments and also your blessings for NDC. Possibly you have, this course has not been exposed to you, so I would like to request you to, not only this should not be the last day, and more and more days will be ahead, you should come here. Should we come?
Sir, sure, sir.
Sir, please, sir.
Sir, sir, thank you.
You may come and deliver here your speech. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for the patience here. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamala. And since he has already announced, on behalf of the NDC, may I invite now our respective chief guest to kindly come to the dais and give his concluding speech. And may I request also the panelists, the keynote speakers, with the kind permission of the commandant, may we leave the stage and take seat in the audience, sir. Sir.
Good afternoon. It is a great pleasure for me to talk to you in this August gathering. Here we find great speakers. They presented well-researched, well-planned papers. In the first session, we understood the great activities done by the army and also how media is reacting, and with the explanation of background of the globe, we saw how media and armed forces relation should be. I congratulate all the speakers in the first session, also in the second session. We saw more mature and experienced speakers. They presented their papers. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is my pride and privilege to speak to you. I understand we have learned a lot about armed forces activities. At the same time, they have got some reservations that how media is behaving, media is reacting on their activities. But they did not mention anything about what they did, what they are doing for the nation, for the greater humanity, and towards the globe. They only few small things cited about children military's activities. I find more than that they have done. Brigadier General Sakwa was telling me that I followed one point, that the voter list, preparation of voter list, the national ID was a big activities that done by the army. And he forgot to mention, but I make the privilege to mention this same thing. So it is a great work that nation can proud of that they've done. And media also encouraged all these activities throughout their activities, media mentioned. And we appreciate the role of media in this case. If we again understand, when we view the television coverage on Sierra Leone about the activities of army and how do they take care of the local people, and those people learn Bengali. They speak Bengali, they sing Bangla song. I am singing my own eyes in Bangladesh television. So those are covered by army, and those are the activities that bestowed by the army to those people. And in many countries, in many geographical setups, we see the army is providing a lot of services. The point is, whether army, the image of army within the people, do the people take the image of army in any other way? That's what you are suspecting, and many of you had some suspicion when you are talking about. I don't think so. I think army and this is our pride, and their role, their image is very positive to the nation in general. People are proud of them. So the question doesn't arise at all. But when you talk about media, the coverage of media, how the media react on some incidents, on some activities of army, then maybe it comes to the point that how people also taking the issue. All great things when we appreciate, that goes to the army. Okay, if there is some pitfalls or some problems in somewhere, you don't need to cover it with something else. Better come with the facts. When you make public relations, when you make media relations, you need to come with facts, not by hiding the facts, doing things. Regarding Tonu Hatta, he was very courageously talking about if something happened, that might be, Anandari was telling that when it happened, you must come with the situation and facts, what happened exactly. Why do you hide things? No matter. Maybe there are good people. All the people are good in the army. All the people you cannot expect should be good. Maybe one or two persons will not be good. But identify them. And tell the people that they are responsible for these misdeeds. So that should be there. That is needed, I think, in my personal opinion. And when there is vacuum, when there is nothing, then media will make humor. Then media won't stop broadcasting or printing some. I mean, without information, there is a chance or a scope to create humors. That's why there is problem sometimes. Even the case of Holly Artisan, when we understand, the media was covering live. They didn't know what they should cover and what they should not, because they didn't have experience as such to cover that sort of incident. Similarly, the collapse of Rana Plaza, we take it, how they covered it. Throughout the world, the media covered the incident. But media in Bangladesh, they didn't know before that this sort of things may happen, and they can cover this. The courage happened in PDR. They didn't know what is going on, but they covered live. Why they covered? Because there was no intervention from the army, from the military, from the police, from the law enforcement agencies. What should they do? Because this vacuum, they cannot keep the mum that nothing will be happening. It is not the reality. So I understand my limited knowledge and experience. I taught 40 years in Dhaka University. So I understand this is to be clarified by the authority, whatever the situation will come. And point blank, you speak to the press, to the media, then things will be easier. Don't hide, that way that previously or traditionally you are hiding. That is not the way to handle or tackle the media is in this present situation with the help of technology. And you know, this small smartphone or Android phone, which is the convergence of media, all media come together here. And because of this technology, anybody can hold it and anybody can learn anything. Anybody can get to expose anything that is happening throughout the world. So we need to understand that things are changing and we need to cope with the changes. So until and unless we keep the tracking of the changes, we'll be lagging behind and we'll be lost somewhere. So my point is, a lot of things are happening. We have got a lot of experiences of the world and so many countries. Suppose if we talk about embedded journalism, embedded journalist, what is that? That is also something that journalists are taken for something with their coverage, with their limitations, where a journalist cannot work freely. But if he or she writes something or telecasts something out of the way, what do? You cannot do anything. So that's why journalists are free, they enjoy freedom, and they should enjoy freedom. But the thing is, just lack of few responsible journalists or media people, just lack of few responsible guys in the profession, problem starts. Just because of, I mean, the journalists who do not understand the responsibility or they do not understand the professional ethics, they make something really lousy and noisy. And you know, all the media people, I should say good, very good, but you cannot say all are good. Maybe few of them are not that good. So for those few people who are not that good, the media becomes responsible for their activities, for their professional, unethical activities. And everywhere we understand these sort of things are going on. And I would rather happy if I would see in all the papers they could say that with the real examples of the situation in the country, then it would have been good learning. But I understand the well-researched, well-planned papers spoken by all these, expert I should say, in their lines. I am really thankful that we learn a lot of things. We don't know many of those things. But this learning process should be disseminated largely. And there should be more interaction of whether it is ISPR or any other services of the army with the press, with the media. They should be more frequent, more open, and this should be the spirit that the army should not be confined only with their professional activities. At the same time, they should come out because they are coming out with their many other activities with the public, with the people, so they should come out with their activities to the people in general. When they construct Hathijil, it is something we can feel proud that this is done by them. So these sort of things, when they come out of their box, they show something special. So why not? Often they should come to the people, come to the media. Previously, we didn't see even political leader facing media. But for the last few decades, we are looking our ministers, some secretaries, some people are facing media. They're coming to the talk shows, they're giving interviews and all other things. But previously, it was not there. So things are changing. So much more changes are still expected. So I think I should not take much time. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's my privilege, it is a pride for me, and all the best. Thank you all. Thank you for the organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Guest, respected Commandant, and respected chairs and the keynote speakers for an excellent conduct of the session. But before we call it a day, it's time for extending some mementos so the speakers and the chief guests can remember this ceremony. May I now request the keynote speakers, starting with Vice General Sarwar, to receive a memento from the Commandant. Ms. Farzana Rashid Brownia. And finally, may I request the chief guest to receive a memento from the Commander. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the session. Thank you very much for making the session such vibrant. May I invite all for lunch arranged at the 5th floor